From City National Arena, live inside Studio 31. Welcome into Nighttime at Noon, your weekly catch-up with the VGK broadcasters. Daren Millard, along with the VGK insider Gary Lawless, with you for the next hour. Just want to get this out of the way right off the bat. Next week we'll be on Tuesday. Normally we're on every week on Monday, but next week, due to the holiday, we will be on Tuesday. There, I won't forget. I guaranteed that. Coming off an emotional week for the Vegas Golden Knights. 5 games through the homestand. A lot to digest, especially from the emotional return for Marc-Andre Fleury. What did you take away from that night? Because I would have thought it would have been really difficult for Fleury to play in those minutes. It was more emotional than I anticipated.
Yeah, I'm not big on those events. Marc-Andre Fleury obviously was an important player here, and I think for the players and for the fans, there was, obviously there's a level of emotion for me.
Closure, right?
Sure, yeah. For me, not so much. It was. I was very disappointed in the game. I thought that.
Well, there were two different things. There was the ceremony, and then
that part was
the
great.
Game.
Yeah. The Golden Knights organization did a great job with Flower. Flower did a nice job. The fans paid him off real well. But then the game was a dud. It was not what we've become accustomed to from the Golden Knights as a group. They didn't play to their level. It was one of the worst games. If I heard you and Daren Elliott on the television after the Rangers game talking about how this was one of the best games of the season for the Golden Knights. Saturday was one of the worst games of the season for the Golden Knights.
Do you have any theories?
A lot of hockey. It's those things are going to happen. Maybe after the success of the Rangers game, kind of figuring, and now we know how to do it, but then just not going and doing it. Like that level of hunger, urgency, desperation, all the ways you want to describe it was all there against the Rangers, and none of it was there against the Blackhawks. Maybe they got caught up in the moment. Maybe
and the first period was fine.
Fine, yeah.
Fine, but Chicago wasn't very good, and then the second and third, there wasn't the
they
reaction.
They let Chicago hang around,
yeah.
And then Chicago got confidence. And one of the things we've seen from teams that play in Marc-Andre Fleury, like when they tied it up at 1-1, I was like, oh boy, he's going to be tough to beat now.
You could feel it, eh?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah.
Elliott said the same thing. The first couple of minutes of the second period, they didn't break through, and
so, they needed to come out after the first. And recognize that, you can never forget that the National Hockey League and the team on the other side, you may be better than them, but only by a little bit. Mm-hmm. And the sum of the parts may make you better than them, but they're good players over there. They're NHL players on the other side as well. And Chicago, they just, I thought they played a perfect game. They didn't wake the Golden Knights up. They didn't try and hit them and sort of stir things up. They just sort of said, we're just going to go along here. We're going to hope you make a mistake. If you do, we're going to try and capitalize. And that's exactly what they did. They just had a little surge.
One of the rare games where I thought that Vegas kind of missed that old energy line. Like Will Carrier left the game.
Dan Duva and I talked about that right after the game, the fact that Vegas definitely needed someone to drag them into the fight in that game, and having Will Carrier get injured early on was, that takes away from that opportunity for you from him. But I would have loved to have seen Keegan Colasar grab somebody. I would have liked to have seen, somebody slash somebody in anger or start a fight, whatever, bump Fleury.
Well, let's get more on this. Pete DeBoer is at the podium.
Right,
practice just wrapped up. We'll come back to more of last week's total storyline, but join Pete DeBoer in his media availability after practice.
Hi, Pete. I wanted to ask you about Brayden McNabb, and I feel like we brought him up a couple of times this year, but he's a guy, doesn't score a lot of goals, but doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes. How reliable is that for you as a coach to have that guy on the back end, a guy that you can penalty kill, defend 5-on-6, that kind of thing, just kind of that peace of mind knowing that he'll be out there and will make plays defensively for you?
Yeah, not just peace of mind, but so many other intangibles: leadership, penalty killing, blocking shots, a physical presence to keep the other team honest. You look at how Tampa's team was built, and everyone talks about the skill that they had up front, but they had a group of gigantic physical defensemen back there that made it really hard to get to the net, and Naber's a big part of our group back there with that identity.
We'll go back to Justin Emerson, Las Vegas on.
Hey, Justin.
And then just on that, we've all seen the big hits this year. How fun are those to watch as a coach from the bench?
Yeah, they are. It's a little bit of a lost art. There's not many guys that do it anymore. And it's an unbelievable skill when you break it down. There's a reason that, there's very few guys that can do it, because the timing element of it is really the skill. And, that's really hard to do, to catch somebody at full speed like that with the perfect timing, because if you make that commitment and you get beat, you're going to look really bad. And his timing is always impeccable on those. So you think back over the years, there's been a handful of guys that can do
Media
that.
conference
And
following practice,
it's a special
2-2-1 on the homestand.
part of that, keeping the other team honest as they're entering your zone, that's important to our group.
Next question for Pete today will come from David Shane, Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Hey, David.
Hey, Pete. We talked to you a lot about like results versus process and things like that. And, maybe the results haven't been where you wanted in the last week or so, but where do you kind of feel like the process is, with you guys going into this game? Are you happy with
It was a weird game because who scored the goals? Riley Stillman, Jujakara, Ben Hutton, and then you have a normal game in two Jennings Trophy winners squaring off. Fleury was good. So was Robin Leonard.
Robin Leonard's been really good in his last two games, actually. And was on a 6-game winning streak going into that game. But came back. I thought he was good against the Rangers. The Kreiner goal was the only one that went in, and it was after having not played for a couple of weeks, you kind of go, okay, he's not gonna be perfect. But then only 2 goals against the Blackhawks as well. And I think that's a really good sign for the Golden Knights, because they've got to get into that rhythm with Robin Leonard where they play the right way in front of him. And, I think if you're a team that holds the opposition to 25 shots a night, Robin Leonard's going to stop 23 of them and going to give you an opportunity to mount your offense, which is right now the best offense in the NHL. It's a winning formula. That to me is important, is to for the Golden Knights to play the right way in front of Robin Leonard. Robin Leonard is not the same as any other goalie. There are things that make him successful, and that shot volume, 25 shots right around there, that works perfect for him.
2-2-1 in the homestand. You've had 2 brilliant games, Anaheim and the Rangers.
Yeah.
Then you've had one against Nashville that was not quite up to par, and the contest against Chicago, and right in between was the Winnipeg Jets. How do you evaluate where this team is going? And Ryan Wallace loves to use the word process, the process of it.
Well, you saw some really good games, which is a good part of it. I also think this team is kind of in the back of their mind. Like in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, what are they going to be? And you're not going to know until Jack Eichel gets here. And he's going to get here this week. He's going to start to skate with the Golden Knights sometime here in the next little while. He'll arrive first, and they'll evaluate him and talk to him, and I'm sure they've got a plan put together. But sooner rather than later, we're going to see him out on the ice here at City National Arena, and then that countdown to when he's actually able to play a game for the Golden Knights, that will begin at that point in time. But you're going to bring him back. You're going to bring Max Pacioretty back. You're going to bring Alec Martinez back. You're going to bring Nick Hague back. The 4 guys that played on Saturday night aren't going to be regulars at some point in time here pretty soon. That's in their mind. It has to be. They're all waiting for that shoe to drop, and let's get our team on the ice and let's really start to go. I think that's holding them back a little bit right now, and I think Pete DeBoer's done a great job of keeping them focused in the moment, and that's why They have 23 wins and are, near the top of the NHL in that regard. But I just think this team is really good.
You think we're in the dog days of the Golden Knights season?
Yeah, that's a really good. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
You listed off all of those games, and good game against the Rangers, good game against Anaheim, good game against Winnipeg, Nashville. Well, Nashville I thought was fatigue. That game was like, okay, they're tired, and then they gave them.
I didn't think Nashville there was any theme or anything to grab onto.
I just thought, okay, Nashville's got a lot to play for.
Yeah.
Vegas is in the middle of a run of a ton of hockey. They've had some injuries. It's an off night. But then they took the Wednesday off skates, didn't skate at all, and they played great against the Rangers. And then Saturday night they come out and serve up a clunker against the Blackhawks. That's the one that I circle and go, well, this would be problematic if this was something you saw more than once every 10, 12 games. That's the one that you have to. You got to hit the ejector seat button on that one.
And when I say dog days, it's the performance, but also you're home for a month.
Yeah.
Not just the fact that you're only a couple of weeks into it, but you're not going anywhere for another month. It's just you're out of rhythm. You're out of your mode.
And then their schedule has been, and everybody's dealing with this, but you asked, you know what I mean? So their schedule's been tinkered with. They're not going to Canada this weekend. They're going to play the Leafs tomorrow, and then they're not going to play again until next Monday night, and which is why K-Tan is not on next Monday. It's going to be on Tuesday because there's a game on Monday.
Keep that in mind as we work our way towards the end of this homestand, which will play game 6 tomorrow against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
7 next Monday versus Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then finish it up against the Montreal Canadiens. So 3 games. You want bite? You got Vaughan Toronto Maple Leafs, who you didn't play great against in Toronto, but are always a draw and somebody that you get up to with all their talent. Sid goes without saying, and maybe Malkin by then. And then you finish up against the team that bounced you in the playoffs.
You're a new age guy.
Thank you.
You're a Connor McDavid is the best player in the world kind of guy.
Yeah. Right now he is.
I struggle with that. Like I watched Sidney Crosby play last week, that game where against the Blues, and Mikkola cross-checked him in the face, and then Crosby slashed him back, and then 2 minutes later scored, and then the Penguins won running away.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like if I'm building a team, well, first of all, if I'm building a team, the first player I take is Andrei Vasilevsky. It's not Connor McDavid.
Okay, first two questions.
But if I got to win a playoff game tomorrow night, Sidney Crosby all day long. Not Connor McDavid. Not
Ovi, not Austin.
Sidney Crosby.
Not Nathan McKinnon.
Sidney Crosby. You're winning a game. You're going up the ice. You're defending. You're checking. You're power play. You're penalty kill. You're leading. You're doing everything to win.
I think you're
game.
swayed by the cups and the Olympic medals.
I'm swayed by what I've witnessed and what I continue to witness.
But Sid's always been like that. Major Junior, he went to a Memorial Cup final, and he had a burr under his saddle facing
Guy wants
Corey
to win
Perry
hockey games more than anything else.
And so you're saying Connor doesn't?
I don't know what Connor wants. He doesn't win games.
Because I think
you can't
that's
put it all
a
on
separate
him. That's
conversation.
A team, but you brought that into the equation. I said Sidney Crosby wants to win games and has patterned his entire career and everything he's done after that pursuit to win gold medals, Stanley Cups, regular season games, playoff games, to win hockey games.
You see
that's
fire,
who he is.
You see fire out of Mark Stone. If you gave that same fire to Connor McDavid,
I don't know if Connor McDavid doesn't have that fire. I'm not one of these people that believes when I'm sitting 5 stories up above the ice level and see his face on TV that I know what he's thinking. I don't know that. Mm-hmm. Connor McDavid might have a massive fire. He does look more impassive, but Crosby does too. Mm-hmm. Crosby doesn't show you that his fire isn't evident the way it is with Mark Stone. Although it was the other night, Mikkola, big guy, physically challenged Sidney Crosby.
You see Sidney Crosby get upset.
Yes, you do, and respond.
Yeah.
with, like, I can remember when, it's 10 years ago now, when Mike Richards, more than that, was still playing with the Flyers, and the Flyers and the Penguins had a couple really good playoff series. Like Crosby and Richards, who were teammates with Canada in 05 at the World Juniors, and then 2010 in Vancouver, like they literally were fencing with their sticks at center ice. Like,
reminds me of you and
just
I.
whack, whack, whack. And I'm like, how do you not love that guy? Mm-hmm. And then he's going to score for you in overtime. I'm not quite ready to pass. Like, I do think that there should be, you said you're enamored with the Cups. Well, yeah. There's some stock should go into what you've done, especially when you're still a great player. What's his stat line this year? It's not like he's terrible.
No.
He's still producing.
And they just won 10 in a row, and they're going. They're in a spot where Brian Burke's asking, are you going to load up? Because you're in that position of challenging in the Eastern Conference. He said no, because basically the cupboard's empty regarding
Ron
that.
Hextall's the guy in charge of that, not Brian Burke.
The look ahead, though, and I think that when you've got Austin Matthews and company tomorrow night, and Sid Game 7 and Montreal Game 8, I think that there's still a real opportunity to bite into this homestand.
For sure.
And devour and enjoy something.
Sometimes you forget, I walked out the front door this morning and had a polo on, and you forget that it's hockey, that this is a hockey town. But you got the Leafs, the Penguins, and the Habs rolling in here in the next 8 days. It's pretty fantastic.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Into a barn that is, as electric and as good as anyone in the NHL. Often better than than anything else in the NHL.
And still first place team. I think we lose sight of that too.
Well,
at times,
the victim of their success, and the expectations way heavy around here. I have a friend she's a huge Golden Knights fan. She watches the games, and often will DM me after a game, disappointed about this or happy about that. And every once in a while, I'm like, they're in first place. Mm-hmm. And, I forgot about that. Best team in the West, although all of a sudden Colorado they look pretty fantastic too.
It's nice to have you back here.
That's great to
in
be
the studio, because I was getting overwhelmed with your texts during the game and after the game.
I hardly texted you at all.
You were like the walking media critic.
Well, there were some things that I didn't like.
Spectacular Hotel California in Santa Barbara, California is the newest exciting addition to the Foley Entertainment Group. Experience an extraordinary stay in one of 121 luxury guest rooms and suites. Taste the region's finest wine at Foley Food and Wine Society's tasting room, and treat yourself to unparalleled massage at Majorelle Moroccan-inspired spa, all in the heart of the American Riviera. Designed for domestic and international guests alike, Hotel California is the perfect destination for any traveler seeking a one-of-a-kind luxury experience. Hotel California is Santa Barbara's premier urban destination. Visit hotelcalifornian.com to book your stay today. Pete DeBoer is finished with his media availability, going to check in on what he passed along, and we'll tell you all about that as we continue on Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas. All of our social media channels. Vegas Golden Knights, nighttime at noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas continues live from Studio 31 inside City National Arena. You have a question that you want asked. Gary Lawless is here. He can take those. Just tweet us at the Vegas Golden Knights Twitter handle, and we will pass it along to Gary in the final segment.
What if I want to ask you something?
I'm not really taking questions today.
You're not, eh?
No.
You're that kind of guy?
No. I'm, my media availability will probably start up midweek. I'm doing some other stuff today. So Gary Lawless is available for that. You mentioned Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
You timeline there?
Timeline what?
You gonna come and join the team in practice?
Yeah, I think he gets here this week. That's sort of Chris Johnson reported it on Insider Trading last week up in Canada. So would imagine that that's very accurate, and we'll see. We'll see Jack, and I don't know what the plan will be for him in terms of when he gets on the ice with his teammates, but the fact that he's ready to come to Vegas and start to skate here and start to become assimilated with the team, that's a real good sign. All we've heard is that everything's been tremendous.
Right. And Kelly McCrimmon did say, and I feel like it bears repeating, that he's going to look like he can play right away. And everybody's just going to have to be patient. Everything that you're going to see is going to want you to ask, can he play tonight?
Yeah.
Can he play in a couple of days? And it's all about just the disc and the bone and everything coming together before he can take contact.
Yeah, there's no need to take a risk with that in any way. Mm-hmm. So just take your time and wait for it to be ready and move forward. And I think that the team is in a great place, and to be able to add to supercharge your group with Jack. Someone said to me the other day, they're like, sometimes people get confused. They're like, oh, he was a number two pick overall. The 5 years before and the 5 years after, he's number one. Mm-hmm. Right? He was number two because he was in the same draft as Connor McDavid. But all the drafts after, he's still like, there is, you talk about the best player in the world. There is reason to believe that Jack Eichel is in that conversation when he's healthy and with the right group.
I'm excited just to see him with a group, with this group going out and practicing. It's been a while since he's done that.
You can liken it to your own walk of life. I can remember, the first time I went to a small town newspaper and got to work with people that were good, but were at a certain level in their career, and then I got the call to go and work for the Winnipeg Free Press, which was one of the best papers in Canada. Over 100 people, 100 reporters in the newsroom when I got there. Like, that's unheard of now, but it was like people traveling all over the world, people that were on television, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, you got to live up to this level. You've got to be part of, like, Jack Eichel's going to come in here and not have to worry about anything but playing hockey. Someone said to me he's never been in a real NHL dressing room. And what they meant was, like, he's been the boss since when he got to Buffalo. He was the best player, the leader, the most important guy, all that stuff. None of that is true here. He comes in and, he's Mark Stone's the captain. Jack doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff. And after Mark speaks, there's 4 or 5 guys on that list that are on the leadership totem pole ahead of Jack. Jack doesn't have to. He doesn't have to do anything other than be himself as a hockey player, and that's going to be fantastic for him.
In his career, there's been an expectation to perform, but there's always been, on the team level, a hope to win. That's different here. And that's probably the part that he's looking forward to the most, is when he goes out, he is expected to win because he has the assets to make that happen.
Yeah, and the other part about him is, I think he's been misunderstood a little bit. I think he is cut from that same cloth of Keith Tkachuk and Jeremy Roenick, that East Coast hockey guy that has a lot of swagger. Those guys cared about winning. more than anything else. And I think we're going to find out about that with Jack too. Like all of this other sort of noise that kind of surrounded him in Buffalo at times is just going to disappear, and this is going to be about a hockey player that wants to win games.
See a guy with number 9 on his helmet. We will certainly pass that along to you and let you know what the happenings are there and the schedule for Jack Eichel's lead up to his Vegas Golden Knights debut in a game. But first comes the practice. It won't be tomorrow as far as playing in a game, but the Golden Knights will skate against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and this is always one of those marquee games because not just an Original Six franchise, and we're on a roll of that between the Rangers and the Chicago Blackhawks and now the Toronto Maple Leafs, but the skill level that this Toronto Roadshow brings in.
Yeah, well, Austin Matthews leads the way there. He's one of the bright young players in the game. John Tavares is pretty good. William Nylander is a fun guy to watch play. Morgan Riley and Jack Campbell is resurgent. Are his numbers the best in the NHL right now? Right there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, save percentage and goals against. He's right near the top of the league. He's an unrestricted free agent. That'll be interesting.
What Toronto does, considering they just let Freddie Anderson go.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to – someone's going to pay Jack Campbell. Like minimum $5 million a year.
Well, I keep looking at Edmonton saying they have to find the next Jack Campbell, somebody that they can acquire.
I think they're going to trade for Carey Price.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what you are seeing. Can they fit that under the cap?
Well, they'll have to get some help, but
yeah.
I bet you Jeff Gorton would love to move on from that contract.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got time, so if he's like, okay, I'll eat half for. He'd have to get a boatload of prospects coming the other way. Picks, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll eat half or a quarter or whatever you have to do to make it work for Edmonton. And then you start anew in Montreal.
I don't know where they are in the hiring process for the Montreal Canadiens' next general manager. Elliot Friedman told me this morning that he believes Patrick Roy met with the Montreal Canadiens, gone down that path. If I'm going to be hired as the manager for the Montreal Canadiens, one of my stipulations would be to Jeff. You be Jeff, I'll be the next one. Can you do the Carey Price trade first?
Yeah.
And then I'll sign on?
Sure.
If that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, you'd love to have.
I don't want to be the guy trading Carey Price. I want you to trade him, and then I'll sign my deal.
I don't think anyone in Montreal will. You know, I don't think there'll be a great. They're sophisticated enough to understand that Carey Price has got 3-4 years of peak performance left in him, and the Montreal Canadiens aren't gonna. They're not the skaters are not going to match up with that. Like he would just be playing brilliant hockey to have his team just miss the playoffs every year.
Selfishly, I hope he does not land in Edmonton. Just don't need to see him in the Pacific.
No, if you're Kelly McCrimmon and Pete DeBoer, you probably prefer him to be in a division other than the Pacific. You'd like him to stay in the East. But I think Carey at this stage, I think he was. There was some talk about him going to Seattle in the expansion draft, and he didn't seem dead set against it. So going west is probably something that he's from Western Canada. That's something that he would enjoy. Keep an eye on Brendan Gallagher too. I wonder if he doesn't. If he's not, I know they just redid him.
That's the weird part. He's got 6 years left on his deal. Yeah, brand new deal, but he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild.
No. The guy that signed him to that 6-year deal, he works for the Los Angeles Kings now. And his old centerman, Phil Deneau, plays for the Kings too.
I want to get into that because it was a strange day with the LA Kings yesterday. Golden Knight fans, you need more hockey. Make sure you check out the newest team in town, the Henderson Silver Knights of the American Hockey League. Single game, group, and mini suite tickets for home games during the 2021-22 season are on sale now. Contact the Henderson Silver Knights ticketing team at 702-645-4259, or you can visit hendersonsilverknights.com to learn more. Brian McCormick does a great job, 12:30 the game, calling those games, and the Dollar Loan Center is set to open up in just a little bit. So things happening on the AHL front with the Henderson Silver Knights. What's happening in Los Angeles and the Evander Kane situation as we continue on Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Be one of the first to join the Vegas Nighthawks family. Secure your seat selection priority today by placing a refundable $20 deposit at nighthawksfootball.com. Full season memberships will start at just $10 per ticket per game at the brand new Dollar Loan Center located in Henderson. We're at City National Arena today inside Studio 31. I was out at Dollar Loan Center the other day for a tour. The mighty Gabe gave me a little twirl around the rink, and it's outstanding. Luxurious, intimate, great seats, the amenities.
The best of its kind.
It's the views from inside the rink of the Strip. It's spectacular. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm looking forward to indoor football. You're an old football guy, Gary Lawless.
I'm really looking forward to the indoor football. The head coach, Big Mike.
Yeah.
One of my favorite guys. It's good CFL roots.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be fun.
He's talking about kicking field goals, and you might have to curve it around the scoreboard.
Really?
And it'll be like the Green Monster at Fenway, the home field advantage.
Be a factor.
A little bit of a tweak to it. We've got some players coming up. We'll take you to their availability in just a little bit when they step up to the Zoom microphone. But before that, just Evander Kane clears waivers. San Jose terminates contract, and the NHLPA has filed a grievance.
Yeah.
Who do you think this favors right now?
I think there's going to be a settlement. I think the league will weigh in here and say to the Sharks, we don't want a long, drawn-out legal process here. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be like, the guy broke COVID protocol twice as far as they're concerned. So the first, he got 21 games for trying to pass a fake vaccine, allegedly.
The Vax card, right?
Yeah. And then he got COVID. He got sent down to the American League, to the San Jose Barracuda. He got COVID there. Are we going to go to Petro?
Yeah, we'll go to that.
Sure.
Continue that story. Here's Alex Petrangelo, narrated by Garrett Calloway on the Zoom.
Hey, Alex, you guys have one more game and then a long break on the schedule. Not that long after you guys just had a holiday break. I guess just what's that kind of been like to deal with kind of the erratic nature of the schedule this year?
Well, I think we kind of knew that coming in, that it was going to be a little bit strange. I don't think we knew there was going to be adjustments. I guess the whole limit thing was kind of up in the air. So we knew if games started getting postponed, there's going to be a chance that maybe they would use that. It's a nice break. I think we'll be pretty much halfway through the season when we get to this after this game tomorrow. So it'll be good for us, especially us, guys with families, be home. Couple of days off. I know we go on a long road trip, so this is important for us to get some good time at home, some good family time.
Next question today will come from Justin Emerson with the Las Vegas Sun.
I wanted to ask about Brayden McNabb. He's not a guy who necessarily picks up a lot of goals or points, but kind of does all the small things that you need: kills penalties, 5-on-6 defense, block shots, all that. Can you just maybe touch on what makes his game so valuable and how nice that is to have on the back end?
Yeah, those are the guys that you I guess don't put up maybe the numbers for some other players, but he's a guy that, last couple of games I've played beside him and I've really enjoyed. I mean, he does all the little things that maybe doesn't get noticed by the normal eye that we see day in, day out, that especially come playoff time, he helps you win hockey games. And it's not easy to do what he does. He plays hard minutes, he plays the game hard, but
it's a real treat to have a guy like that in your team and a guy that loves doing it. So we're lucky to have Nabber back there. I know that kind of sounds cliche, but those are the guys that you win with.
Reminder for media, you can raise your hand below. We'll take a brief pause. If there's any final questions today for Alex Pietrangelo, we'll go to David Shane, Las Vegas Review Journal.
Alex, just tomorrow, what sort of test do you expect that to be? And, is it coming at a good time in that regard to have a good team coming in like that?
Yeah, we enjoy those games. I think we certainly play well when we play against teams that are going to test us. I think they're certainly a strong team offensively. Their numbers speak for themselves. I think for us, we've really felt like our defensive structure has really gotten to that next level. So no better way to test it than to play against them, who have a lot of guys up front that can really make plays and score goals. So I think defensively we feel comfortable with where we are, but certainly will be a good test for us.
Let's go to Kevin McGran with the Toronto Star.
Alex, I just wonder, what does having the All-Star game here in Vegas mean to you personally? What would it mean to be a part of that, and hopefully it gets going?
Yeah, it's always fun. I mean, I played in Tampa, which was a great experience, but then I played in the one at home in St. Louis, and it was a totally different experience for me. Being part of the home crowd and having or the home team and having your home crowd there, and being able to I brought my kids into the locker room, and my family came down. No, I don't know if that's going to be possible this year, but when you're in the comfort of your own home, I guess, in your home rink, it makes it even better. You're on your home ice, and it's a real special experience to have an opportunity to make it when you're on that home team.
Alex, thanks for the time today.
You're welcome, guys.
Media availability for Alex Pietrangelo after practice today before the Vegas Golden Knights take on the Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow. All-Star game coming up in a couple of weeks. There was some speculation about go, no go. Happy to report that everything appears to be going straight ahead for the All-Star game in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I talked to someone at the league last week, and they were like, "Nope, everything's
great,
moving forward," and they have lots of great plans for it. So I think it'll be. I've been to a bunch of All-Star games. Some of them are fantastic. Some of them are a non-event. I don't expect this one to be a non-event. I think it'll be out of this world.
I love what he said about the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they get up for these games, and looking forward to it. It is that time of the year where you get a special opponent coming in that you can kind of gauge yourself, and you haven't seen Austin Matthews or the like for a while.
Well, for sure. The Leafs are one of those teams that, especially now that with the kind of goaltending that they have, they're a team that could eventually come out of the East. So this is you want to measure yourself against them and figure out if we do catch up with them down the road. It would be the Stanley Cup. That would be a great thing. Mm-hmm. How do we play them? What's the way to counter what they bring? And this will be a great opportunity for it. I'm sure the coaches and the players are starting to really get excited for that game.
The last time the Maple Leafs were at T-Mobile Arena was Mike Babcock's last game behind the bench, signified the start of Sheldon Keefe's era with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just finish your thought on Evander Kane and where that goes with the San Jose Sharks.
I just think that there's going to be some maneuvering behind the scenes. The player, they owe him $23 million. The Sharks do if his contract is out. So, he has rights. Has he, so just to go back to why he's in this situation. He allegedly had a fake vaccination card, and he got suspended by the NHL for 21 games. Then he got COVID. And while he was in his quarantine, he flew to Canada, which he was not supposed to do, allegedly. And then was supposed to be back in San Jose for the 30th and didn't get back till January 6th. So the Sharks are contending that there's material breach of contract, and Kane and his lawyer and his agent and the National Hockey Players Association say that's not true. This fight is more for the league. This fight is more about precedent than it is for Evander Kane. I mean, for the Players Association, they don't want any team to just be able to say, we don't like this guy anymore. We don't want to pay him that money anymore. We got cap trouble. We want to tear his contract up. The contracts are guaranteed. Now, there are stipulations if you break certain rules, and that's where the fight will be. I think that they'll have to write him a check, call it half, and then he'll become, it'll be like a buyout. He'll become an unrestricted free agent. I think that the Sharks will have to carry some cap recapture. I don't think they're.
That's the big question. If
they're going to have to. You look at every other team around the league is like, what do you mean? You just set fire to $23 million? You sign that contract. You've got that cap issue. You got to live with it. So I think there'll be some form of Gary Bettman and Bill Daly will come up with something that the Sharks will be happy with, other teams will be happy with. Hopefully the player will be happy with, and then he'll be able to move on. And then there'll be a process. Like, is he just an unrestricted free agent and everybody gets a chance to sign him? Or, do they go in the order of waiver?
Yeah.
No idea how that will work. And then who will want him? And at what price? Like, he's 30 goal scorer. Big guy. Can fight. Can hit. All kinds of... when Evander Kane is at his best on the ice, rare player. Not a lot of guys like him. He could be a difference maker for a team.
So the Sharks have the reason for terminating the contract.
Yeah.
Now it's just up to the decision of whether or not those reasons are
valid.
Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, Twitter questions for Gary Lawless. Send them in to the Vegas Golden Knights Twitter account if you've got something to ask. And we'll also honor one of the greats in the Las Vegas media when it comes to the hockey community. And we'll pay a tribute to Brian Blessing. This is the VGK. It's Nighttime at Noon, not the VGK Insider Show. Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Studio 31 inside City National Arena. It's nighttime at noon. Daren Millard along with Gary Lawless. Pete DeBoer spoke earlier. Just want to pass along that Alec Martinez has been placed into COVID protocol. Martinez coming back from the face laceration, and he has been put into protocol, so you probably won't see him, you won't see him out on the ice with the team for the next little bit. Some questions coming in. One asking about the butt end of Mark Stone's stick. He uses that big, long stick out there, and the rationale behind that. Theories?
Well, he's really good with his stick,
Mm-hmm.
and uses it to steal pucks and uses one hand on it a lot of time. I think probably just a really good grip and allows him to have strength in when he's trying to pull a puck away from someone else.
Exactly. Where I was going to go, and it also helps the bench staff. The trainers.
They know what stick
be able
it
to
is.
find it. Boom. Stone broke his stick.
Yeah.
Grab it, even though it might just be the tallest one. The other one question coming in is Nick Waugh do a contract, and William Karlsson making money, and just the trying to meet in the middle on that.
Yeah, I don't think the two things are related. William Karlsson is an excellent two-way center in the National Hockey League, and Nick Waugh is becoming one. So I'm sure the Golden Knights will want to keep Nick, and we'll find a way to make that work.
2-2-1 through 5 games of this homestand with Toronto, Pittsburgh, and Montreal to come. Austin Matthews and company. He's got the stash back. He's grooving
he had
that.
2 goals on Saturday night. They lost to they were up 4-1 in Denver at Ball Arena and lost 5-4 in overtime. So I would imagine that they're not happy. That's but then they've got some time. They're coming over here. They don't play before Tuesday. They don't play tonight.
No, they were at the Raiders game yesterday.
There you go. So they had some fun, and then they probably practiced today down at T-Mobile, and they'll be ready to go. Be a great game. I like that. I like watching the Leafs play.
Oh, one of the great contradictions is right now Toronto is playing in front of an empty building because of crowd restrictions, and then the team arrives in Vegas and goes to the Raider game, and one of the great games. So interesting. They'll be looking forward to the atmosphere tomorrow night. Also want to offer our condolences to the family of Brian Blessing, who passed away. Host of the Hockey Hotline, one of the people in the Las Vegas media who, as soon as the talk of an NHL team started, was right on board and front of the line leading the charge.
Yeah, well, a Hockey Hotline show was, before it was in Vegas, it was in Buffalo, and it was must-watch television on Empire, the station in Buffalo. Brian been around. He covered the Bills. He covered the Sabres. He was a fixture in Buffalo for around 25 years, and then came here and was actually a big part in, getting the word out around Vegas when Bill Foley and Todd Pollock were trying to sell tickets and get this organization off the ground. Brian was really interested in having hockey come here. The guy knew the game. If you spent a few minutes on Twitter yesterday, you would see the way his colleagues in Vegas and Buffalo felt about him. Clearly a beloved guy. I had quite a few interactions with Brian, and his show was always from a sports book or a bar or a casino or somewhere. And when I first came to Vegas, he was one of the first programs I was on, and I can remember doing 1 hour on his show and talking all things hockey and having a lot of fun doing it. So we're obviously, the hockey community is sad that we've lost Brian, and more importantly, our condolences go out to his family in a real tough time.
Effortless when he would talk about hockey, right?
Yeah,
it was just it was a natural, great human being. Loved his voice and
great pipes,
and certainly remember him at Empire and MSG, which is the former Empire. Covered the WIVB in the 80s and 90s and so much more, and then coming out here and had a great relationship with Bill Foley.
Yeah, for sure. Dave Gosher was talking this morning when very shortly after arriving here, he was summoned to a golf course by by Bill Foley, and Brian Blessing was in the foursome. So got to talk hockey with Brian for a day, and this was sudden. And Dave Shane put out a really lovely, from the Review Journal, put out a really lovely series of tweets last night about the passing of Brian. And obviously, I think it would have been really exciting for Brian with Jack Eichel coming here and that Buffalo connection. Yeah, again, our condolences.
Brian Blessing was 64 years old. Nighttime at Noon will be on next Tuesday. I want to remind you about that. The Vegas Golden Knights will wrap up this 8-game homestand over the next week. This next little stretch, so tomorrow night against Toronto, and then it's not until next Monday against the Pittsburgh Penguins, is because we don't know about the schedule in January.
No.
But it's going to be filled in by the 4 games that have been postponed for the Vegas Golden Knights.
The schedule in February.
Yeah, sorry. And then maybe some games from March. This next week is going to be really important for the Golden Knights, the players, everybody, because it might end up being their little pause in this season.
Yeah, there's not going to be, I don't think, an extended break in February, so this will be catch your breath time for sure. And they played a lot of hockey. I think their games played, they're right near the top of the league, if not the top of the league. So, they, that's one of the reasons why they have so many wins. They've taken advantage of those games, but catching their breath, not a bad idea at all.
Some urgency tomorrow night. Do you expect that?
Well, you would hope so. I mean, I think that, listen, it's one thing for us to be critical. They're way more critical than us. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that, Pete DeBoer was not happy after the game on Saturday. I bet you none of the players were. I bet you it was a topic of conversation. You have to flip the page in the NHL because you have to get to that next place real fast. There's another game to play. But they know they weren't very good on Saturday, and they know they have to be better to play. If they play like that against the Leafs, it won't be 2-1. It'll be ugly.
And you mentioned something earlier in the show about Pacioretty will be coming back, and Alec Martinez, COVID protocol right now, will be coming back. Jack Eichel. It's got to be kind of weird knowing that all that's coming to play every game at that such high level.
Well, for me, if you're and Nick Hague is in there as well. Mm-hmm. So if you're one of the 6 defensemen, you have to realize that Martinez and Hager are coming back, and so that means, do I get to keep my job? I better play really well. I better find a way to make this decision really hard when there are people to come back. And if you're a forward, you have to understand that Pacioretty and Eichel are taking 2 spots in the top 6, so or the top 9. So there's going to be 2 players in that bottom 6 that are going to fall out. Like, what's the 4th line look like? What's the 3rd line look like? And on and on. It's there's a lot of questions, and if you want to have your name amongst those 12 forwards, this is a chance to convince Pete DeBoer he cannot do without you.
Toronto Maple Leafs on Fox Sports Las Vegas, the VGK radio network tomorrow night. Looking for that. You'll have the call with
Dan Duva. Will have the call, and I'll chip in once in a while.
And then you're going to run back and forth doing the TV thing as well?
Yes, you'll be stuck with me tomorrow night.
I'm not stuck with you.
Yeah.
Saddled with you.
There you go.
Maybe that's a better term. Also want to make sure that we acknowledge Will, producer Will, on Nighttime at Noon. This is his last ride with us before he trots off to bigger and different things. And
you just get them to where they're fantastic, and then they leave.
So Will, thank you for your support.
Thanks,
and
Will.
your help over the last little bit and through COVID. So appreciate that, and all the best of luck. Don't forget us, okay? All right. Yeah, he's nodding. He's all choked up right now, but that's awesome to see different people really rise and spread their wings, and
absolutely
like Will has done. We're going to take a break and tell you that the VGK Insider Show is coming up at 4 o'clock, and that will be involving Ryan Lawless and Chris Chapman. Open phones from 4 until 4:30.
Maybe I'll call in.
Would you mind?
Love to.
Do you know the number?
No, give it to me.
876-1340.
1340.
Yeah, 1340. Give us a call. like Rita's in there and Lou's in there and Stephanie. Like
Stephanie, I like Stephanie.
Mike's also
Stephanie's
there.
always like grating carrots or something when she's she's got the sink running. She's
Multitasker.
Yeah.
So we've got open phones from 4 to 4:30 every Monday. Is your time to chat with us, and then we'll get into grading the games and everything else that's going on around the National Hockey League, including one-timers. Thanks to you for listening. Thanks to Gary Lawless, and thanks to Will for stopping by. Good luck to him. We'll chat with you at 4 o'clock on Fox Sports Las Vegas.